Andor has wrapped its 2-season story, coming to quite a brutal conclusion that almost brought tears to my eyes. What started out to me as a show no one asked for, and one I 100% was going to skip, and then forget was a project in the Star Wars universe, became not only something I loved, something I was craving to see in this universe I hold so dear to my heart, a groundbreaking tale for the franchise, and bluntly, one of the best Star Wars chronicles ever conceived. It was the most mature the series has ever been. And that's not to say that the series hasn't had its fair share of moments, because it damn well has. Look no further than Clone Wars and the various other media outside the films and shows, like that of the Thrawn trilogy written by Timothy Zahn, or even more recent additions to the new canon like Charles Soule and Kieran Gillen's Darth Vader comic runs. But there is something truly unique to Andor's approach to the galaxy of the Star Wars universe. I always felt like Star Wars' biggest strength has constantly been the fact that you feel that this is a real, lived-in universe that is multifaceted in not only its many people, species, and planets, but in its cultures, politics, architecture, technology, social classes, and of course, depiction of religions. A franchise that isn't comic book based being able to have both the political intrigue of governmental goings on, but also at the same time having supernatural elements be the core aspect of its storytelling. And Andor has chosen to go with the latter, really exploring a corrupt government, and going about it in the most realistic way possible. In fact, I would go as far to say this is the most realistic Star Wars has ever been, which leads it to being the most mature the series has ever been. From the very start of the franchise's conception, it was so obvious that the Empire was a reflection on the Nazis. And this show leans into that more than ever, showing the real ways a government like that of 1930s Germany would use propaganda, media intervention, resource stealing, and when all else fails, a brutal, straightforward task force to initiate their rule to overtake and control a population. But what Andor does with the Empire by showing them as people, not good people, but just people with wants and aspirations for their future, shows how being a cog in an oppressive regime is so tempting. Showing how their propaganda reaches the weak-minded, getting them to believe in an unjust cause because they themselves lack purpose and want an excuse for a sliver of power. And then on the other end, the series expands on what we got a glimpse of in Rogue One, which is the fact that the rebellion had to take part in some shady actions to get their desired freedom. Lutheran is honestly a pretty horrible person, committing murders, allowing people to die, sending people to deadly missions they may never come back from, withholding vital information, and not having any true loyalty to anyone beyond Clea. There's many things wrong with him, but unlike someone within the Imperial system, none of this is done out of a lust for domination. And also, unlike the Imperial NPCs droning on the Empire's orders, Lutheran actually feels the emotional toll of his sins. He puts up a front that he doesn't, but you know he does have guilt and disgust for himself. The more ambiguity this show presents with its characters and situations makes not only for compelling narratives, but realistic and mature thematic explorations of what human beings do under the thumb of poverty, self-worth, classism, and most importantly, subjugation. The way Andor explores all the evil atrocities the citizens of the Empire have to struggle with go beyond the fact that they're just that evil government, to show why a mass group of people would rise up to fight them. In A New Hope, we see them blow up a planet. You don't need to know anything else to get on the side of the rebellion. But when we are going farther into the past to see the prime time of this establishment, we need to see what the day-to-day life of living under a government like this would do to an ordinary person. We as an audience already know they are building the Death Star, but if we don't believe in all the smaller aspects that keep piling up every day for each person, struggling to go about their life, it's harder to care. Because the main picture would be saving the planet, which yes, is obviously important, but it simply gives the need to stop the Empire a more sophisticated explanation. And yeah, let's just talk about the controversial moment in the first arc. Bix gets harassed by an Imperial officer, and that leads to an attempted essay that Bix of course stopped by fucking his shit up. That was so satisfying to see, by the way. To me, this was phenomenal and was done with gravitas. It wasn't there to be shocking. It wasn't there for the sake of setting up yet another situation our characters had to get through. It was another way to express how truly sinister the Empire is. And once again, on a creative standpoint, this was a realistic and mature choice to make. And listen, I get it. Star Wars is supposed to be fun for the whole family. And that's why people lost their shit back in 2005 when Anakin killed the younglings. But this scene wasn't done in Mando or Clone Wars. It was done in the context of a show designed for an adult audience. Sure, it's not TVMA, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it's clearly not meant for the family. And you know what? That's okay. Star Wars has been around for over 40 years. It's good to have things for all different ages. That's how you keep a franchise like this alive. Appealing to the mass audience, and then turning around and appealing to maybe a more mature one. I look at the MCU, and I love it, but it's so refreshing that we have shows like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and The Punisher being able to coexist in the same universe, but tell the mature stories the movies can't. And Andor is that for Star Wars. Now that I've gone through my main spiel, I want to just rapid fire off my smaller thoughts on the series as a whole. The first arc in season 2 is straight ass cheeks. It only had enough story for one episode. The set and costume design blew my mind away. I don't care that there's almost 24 hours worth of runtime. The whole experience, episode after episode, had me speechless at how immaculate the team behind Andor put together this world. I'm pissed that Palpatine never showed up, and look, I never expected Vader to come down and destroy Lutheran's store, or have an episode on Tatooine where Andor bumps into Luke. It's just not that type of show, and I love it for that. But man, if you took a shot for every time they mentioned Palpatine throughout the series, you'd be dead from alcohol poisoning before the second episode ends. It felt like a classic Chekhov's gun situation, where there would be a big reveal with him showing up at some point. And honest to God, when Lutheran was destroying his comms and then the chime from his front door was heard, I thought this was gonna be the moment and my heart started pounding. But of course, he never showed up, even though there were many moments, more so in the second season, where I think he should have popped up. I was ecstatic that they brought back Ben Mendelsohn as Director Krennic. He is so incredible in that role, stealing every moment of screen time he has. And, of course, Andor as a character is so fascinating. Having this guy who doesn't believe he can be a leader, in fact that many times is utterly afraid of it, and then eventually comes to terms with his place in the grand scheme of things. Anyways, in conclusion, Andor is a truly poignant tale that gave me the grounded and morally ambivalent narratives I've been begging to see be done with Star Wars for a long time now. Fleshing out the universe in live action in a way we haven't gotten since the prequels. Bringing horrifically mature and realistic elements to our TV screens as we hoped with each episode to see our heroes succeed. All coming together for a genuinely tragic ending that will linger in all Star Wars fans' minds for years to come.